Hurricane Milton tracker. Storm strengthens into dangerous Category 4. Florida prepares for massive evacuations. The storm has quickly intensified as it makes its way toward Florida. By Caitlin Riley and David Artavia on Mon, October 7, 2024. Yahoo News. Hurricane Milton rapidly intensified Monday morning, strengthening into a dangerous Category 4 hurricane with sustained winds of around 150 miles per hour as it took aim at a Florida Gulf coast, which is still reeling from Helene's record-breaking landfall just over a week ago. Millions are facing the prospect of evacuation as Milton gains steam along its path toward the Tampa Bay area, where it is expected to make landfall Wednesday evening. The National Hurricane Center said in an 11 a.m. ET update that it anticipates Milton will intensify into a Category 5 hurricane later today. Speaking at a press conference Monday alongside Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, the state's Director of Emergency Management Kevin Guthrie urged those in the Tampa Bay area to evacuate.
"I beg you, I implore you," Guthrie said. "Drowning deaths due to storm surge are 100% preventable if you leave." DeSantis said Monday that 51 counties in Florida are now under a state of emergency, and a pre-landfall declaration request has been made to FEMA for support in anticipation of the hurricane's arrival. In a statement issued Sunday, the White House said that President Biden had been briefed on the situation, including the hurricane's potential impacts on the Florida Gulf Coast and the work the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, is doing in advance of the storm. The Mexican government issued a hurricane watch for the coast of Mexico from Celestún to Cabo Catoche and a tropical storm warning from Celestún to Cancun, according to the NHC. Those in the Florida Peninsula, the Florida Keys and the northwestern Bahamas are also being urged to monitor its progress.
Where is Hurricane Milton, and what is its path? As of Monday morning, Milton was located around 150 miles west of Progreso, Mexico. It was about 735 miles southwest of Tampa, FLA. The storm had maximum sustained winds of 150 miles per hour. The storm was moving east-southeast at 8 miles per hour. The NHC warned Monday morning of an increasing risk of life-threatening storm surge and damaging winds for portions of the west coast of the Florida Peninsula beginning Tuesday night or early Wednesday. Residents in that area should follow any advice given by local officials and evacuate if told to do so, the NHC said. Portions of the Florida Peninsula and the Florida Keys can expect rainfall of 5 to 10 inches, with localized totals up to 15 inches through Wednesday night. Such rainfall brings the risk of considerable flash, urban and aerial flooding, along with the potential for moderate to major river flooding, meteorologists said. Meanwhile, portions of the northern Yucatan Peninsula can expect 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. Elsewhere, Hurricane Kirk has diminished to a Category 1 hurricane. As of Monday morning, Kirk was approximately 765 miles from the Azores, moving north-northeastward at 23 miles per hour, with maximum sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. There are no coastal watches or warnings in effect, according to the NHC. Warnings and evacuations. As of 11 a.m. ET Monday, a hurricane watch is in effect for most of the western Gulf Coast of Florida, from Chokoloskee to Suwannee River, including Tampa Bay, Rio Lagartos, to Cabo Catoche, Campeche, to the south of Celestún Dry Tortugas, Lake Okeechobee. A hurricane watch means hurricane conditions are possible within the areas and is usually issued 48 hours before the hurricane is anticipated to hit. A tropical storm watch is in effect for Florida's Gulf Coast, from Flamingo to south of Chokoloskee, Florida's Gulf Coast, from Suwannee River to Indian Pass, Florida Keys, including Florida Bay. A tropical storm watch means tropical storm conditions are expected in the areas within the next 36 hours. A storm surge watch is in effect for from Flamingo to the Suwannee River, including Charlotte Harbor and Tampa Bay. A storm surge watch means there's a possibility of life-threatening flooding. As of Monday morning, the Florida Division of Emergency Management has ordered evacuations for 6 Florida counties along the state's west coast. During a press conference Monday morning, DeSantis urged residents to follow orders but stressed they do not have to travel far to be safe. "You don't have to evacuate hundreds of miles," he said. If you're in areas that are susceptible to storm surge, you go to areas that are not susceptible to that. Every county has places within them where you can go to. Maybe it's a friend's house, maybe it's a hotel, maybe it's a shelter. Mandatory evacuations are in effect for Charlotte County, especially in zones on the water along the Gulf, Charlotte Harbor and the Myakka and Peace Rivers, Hillsborough County, Pasco County, especially those living in low-lying areas or manufactured homes such as mobile homes or RVs, Pinellas County and its residential healthcare facilities across 3 specific county zones. Voluntary evacuations are in effect for residents in Manatee County and Sarasota County are being told to start implementing evacuation plans, whether it's staying with a friend or family member on higher ground or completely leaving the area. Milton comes days after Helene. Hurricane Milton comes just over a week after Hurricane Helene made landfall in Florida's Big Bend region as a monstrous Category 4 storm, causing at least 20 deaths in Florida alone. After making landfall with 140 miles per hour winds, the storm moved inland across the southeast, leaving more than 200 people dead and leaving widespread destruction in its wake. Following the storm, the state's infrastructure and emergency services have been stretched thin. As of 5:10 p.m. ET on Sunday, over 350,000 utility customers were still without power in Florida. Read more from Yahoo News. Helene shows that hurricanes in the age of climate change don't wreck just coastlines. Active hurricane season. Hurricane season runs from June 1st through November 30, but the peak of heightened activity is usually from August through October. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, a typical hurricane season in the Atlantic will usually see around 14 named storms, of which 7 become hurricanes and 3 become major hurricanes. As of early October, 8 hurricanes formed in the Atlantic, with Milton becoming the 13th named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. As CNN notes, hurricane season is running ahead of the expected schedule. Typically, the 13th storm of the season wouldn't hit until at least October. 25. Earlier this week, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas warned that FEMA did not have the funds to make it through the season. President Biden said this week that Congress may need to pass a supplemental spending bill in the next couple of months to help fund states' recovery efforts.